Yo, what's going on?
Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to the Enough Said podcast. We are in season 4, episode 20, and we got Enough Said crew all over the place here. We got Mike on the road. We got Jermaine. We'll talk about him in a second. He is not able to join us today. He's got the sniffles. We'll talk about him in a minute. But one thing we all got is today. You ready, guys?
Playoffs.
It is. It's playoffs.
Yeah. Well, yesterday started it all off. So
absolutely,
it is freezing. We all got snow coming. That's for sure. But well, let's get into it first. We'll start with Jermaine, and I got to give Mike some credit for this one. I like this. He's got aches and pains, and he can barely walk. You know it's bad when he can't even talk. So, Jermaine, we're going to miss you today, man. Sorry you can't get in here today. He is under the weather. So hopefully we'll get him back next week. Whatever's going around, guys, it's going around because I know more people that got it. So, a lot of my people at work got it.
That time of the season, man. The time of the season. Get the flu and COVID and whatever.
Yeah. I don't want it. All right.
Got that right.
And Mike, thanks for making all this work today. I know you're on the road running around, but we'll introduce him anyway. Big Dom is back on the sideline tomorrow, so Mike is in shock. Maybe they'll put next week's game on his favorite network, Peacock. What up, Mike?
Yeah.
Just like he said, Peacock on second screen.
Mike was upset about that. You know what? There were a lot of fans that were ticked about that, Mike. You weren't the only one.
Absolutely. Should be
about it. I was watching it yesterday, and it would just freeze, and I'm like, "Come on, seriously!" Like it was bad.
Yeah, I mean, they should have put the game on Peacock, but then they also should have put on regular TV. You know, I mean, not everybody switched over to having no cable and no TV and watching everything online. You know, that may be the future, but it certainly isn't now. So for a playoff game, I mean, that's a pretty important game to just, put on one channel that's not even, a TV channel.
Yeah, I agree. That should have been like a preseason thing or a test like a regular season game.
Yeah.
So
and you saw what they did, right? They on the NBC was they actually had a pit window showing you what was going on, why the analysts were talking, almost like how NFL Network shows, the scoring live gaming. It was similar to that. I was like, wow, that's like, really?
Yeah.
It also doesn't help. That was minus 30 out. Sorry, Mike.
So I'm saying Peacock only did one game this year, so they had like no track record. So it's not like people got used to watching games on Peacock. They only had one game. It was on a Saturday. No one even saw it. And so for them to have another important game, have it exclusive, it didn't make sense to me. But, someone paid a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
They did.
They sure did.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's bring in this guy, the last introduction today. The man can't get a Sprite, and he has to buy a Coke. Now it's so bad he can't even buy Mike coffee because he's broke. What up,
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. I'm broke.
One.
Yeah.
So, tell him about the bet, Dre, and what happened between you and Mike. This was good.
Well, I mean, Mike was just saying I was all hooked on Joe Flacco, the way he ended the season and going into the playoffs hot. So I was just saying, hey man, Flacco's hot. He's he's gonna probably win the game against Tennessee. Mike's like, well, hold on now. This guy's got interceptions galore, and the network or the analysts are hyping him up. But he proved yesterday that he couldn't do it. He threw interceptions, it turned the ball over, and that was what the bet was. But I wanted Tennessee. I wanted Texans to win over the Browns, but my point though, good point though. But what I would come back is, did Flacco lose that game? I thought defense lost that game. I didn't watch the whole game because I was away, but I saw highlights, and to me, C.J. Stroud just gashed that defense. So would the interception really matter? That's what I'm saying.
It put the cap on it. It was one of those things that it's all three phases. It's running the ball, it's defense, and it's turnovers. And all three things Cleveland didn't do well. They only had I think at halftime, Kareem Hunt or the team overall had 29 yards rushing. That's not going to cut it. And the defense gave up some big plays that they normally don't. But, Cleveland on the road is a much different team than Cleveland at home. So, yeah, they gave up some big plays, like two deep bombs that really hurt them. And then after that, that's when the turnovers kicked in and back-to-back pick sixes. You can't get over that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Houston's got a quarterback, man, and Stroud missed one down the field badly. He had a guy wide open. He overthrew him. I saw that, and he was just dying. He's like, man, I had it, and he did. But yeah, Houston's got their quarterback, I think, guys. But what's funny is Carolina doesn't, right? Like, I mean, those guys were so close. You would really think that Carolina, that franchise just cannot head in the right direction. But
yeah,
well, as Mike says, it's ownership. Ownership is
crazy. It starts the ownership and then the coaching. I mean, it seemed like Carolina had like a who's who of coaches. I mean, Frank Wright was there, and then they had offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator were both names, a running back coach. I mean, I think Deuce Staley was down there. They had a lot of talented coaches, but then they really couldn't mesh well together.
Right.
And then Bryce Young is his physical abilities. I kept talking about it. The kid's he's 5'7". I think he's labeled as 5'9", but he's really 5'7" or something like that.
Small.
And so, it's tough in the NFL. And they had no weapons. I mean, C.J. Stroud, the rookies that they got, Collins stepped up, and then I think just D'Amico Ryans is just coach, man. That guy is. Everybody's played well for him. I mean, defensive coordinator for San Francisco. They play well for him.
And as an Eagles fan, former Eagle, I'm happy. He's doing well. So I think they got the pieces together, man. Like we said in the beginning of this season of our season, we mentioned how the Texans went right after what they knew what they wanted to do. They went to go get CJ Stroud. They're back, and then they went to go get was it offensive lineman or a D guy? The next
they got D lineman second,
second. So like they they say, no, man, we know what we need to do, and it's paying off. And it looks like CJ is there a rookie MVP award already?
Yeah. It's between him and they keep saying him, Puka Nacua is potential MVP for a rookie. I think it's really between those two guys because both of them had such great years. I would give it to Stroud personally, but
I'll give it to Stroud too. And 100%. We had our midseason awards, and I gave him the rookie of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the other thing with Ryan's, I just know what you got on that Bradbury shirt.
Yeah, the wardrobe today is sponsored by Mike. There you go. You wear the Bradbury shirt today.
Oh man.
But yeah, I was gonna say with the Texans, the other thing with D'Amico Ryans is that he did get a pretty good staff. I mean, Bobby Slowick as offensive coordinator. I can't remember who they brought in as a quarterbacks coach, but they also got in a pretty good quarterback coach. You really work with Stroud and help him with that transition. And then Stroud just played well. And the big thing with Stroud is that he don't turn the ball over. I mean, the dude has like 5 interceptions for the whole season. I mean, that's very impressive for a rookie.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mike, talking about former 49ers going somewhere and doing good, you had an assistant GM that went to Washington too, right? So is that a big loss or what happened there? Is Washington getting a good one?
I think so. A lot of people say that, when it came to some of the picks that we got, like Debo and Bosa and Warner, those late round picks, they said Adam Peters had a lot to do with that. John Lynch gets the credit for it, but it's the guys underneath that did a lot of the research and, finding these guys. So, I think, this happens. A lot of the 49er staff has kind of been rated over the last couple of years. It's probably going to happen again this year. But yeah, I think it's good for Washington. I think it's a good start. It's the right start. Hopefully it'll pan out for them.
Yeah, well, while we're talking about that, guys, let's get into some of these coaching moves and everything like that. So there's rumors that Harbaugh is going to interview with the Chargers this week. That could be an interesting relationship. Never thought about that one. But I don't know. Dre, good fit, Harbaugh going to the Chargers? Go from Michigan, college ball, all the way to San Diego?
I think, just off the top of my head, I think where he goes, he's going to do well. I mean, remember he took San Francisco to a Super Bowl, against his brother. He won it. Then, of course, what he's done in college. This is a very good coach. I wish Harbaugh would have. I'm fine with college and everything, but I wish he would have stayed in the NFL because he might have pushed Belichick to the side, and he'd be the better coach than Belichick, honestly.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh. So
speaking of Belichick, Mike, there's rumors that if Dallas loses, he could go to Dallas. Could you?
I can't see that.
I can't see that either. Yeah. I agree, Mike. No way.
Yeah, I just can't see it.
The only one that tolerated Jerry Jones was Jimmy Johnson. You saw how Bill Parcells was and other coaches.
Yeah. I think Jimmy Johnson tolerated because they were winning.
They were winning. Yeah, that's true.
Out the door.
Well, let's address the elephant in the room. Everybody says Nick Sirianni loses today. That's it. Or sorry, I should say Monday. What do you guys think? Start with Dre. Is Sirianni gone if he loses in Tampa?
No. I don't think he's going anywhere. Again, as I mentioned before, to me, I think the OC and DC were actually experimental because now when I'm seeing and stuff about where Brian Johnson's getting interviews now as a head coach, Dasani, like I said, he was from Seattle and coming here. I don't think his job is not in jeopardy. I will say that after this or after off season and see what he does about trying to get some more better coaching to come in. And also new season, if they start off bad, then I would say in 2024, 2025, he is on the hot seat. But he has lost the locker room. He has lost that, and he has to figure that out, all that rumor, speculation, and him being cut or fired, whatever you want to call it. No, I think Jeffrey Lurie, is going to see how it goes by the next season. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and Mike, he was in the Jeffrey Lurie. Speaking of him, he was in the locker room right after that loss to the Giants. He was down there.
Yeah, I don't see them letting Sirianni go. I do think the coordinators will change, at least one of them. They definitely got to figure out that defense. I think what's going to really be eye-opening is just what does Howie do, especially, with drafting and free agents for next year. I think they definitely do need some help, especially with the linebackers, especially in the defense. Like big play Slaves probably be gone. Bradbury probably be gone. That whole secondary kind of can be changed completely. I think it's going to fall out on Howie. And then next year, if things kind of go off the rails, I think Nick probably could be gone, and possibly Howie, depending on how it goes.
That's interesting. You said possibly Howie because didn't he get the GM award? I mean, look at that. I mean,
that
is true.
My feeling on Howie, and he packaged it up like I said for a year, and because he knew he was in trouble, they have to completely overhaul the defense. We're talking linebackers. We're talking secondary. We're talking safeties. Blankenship is a good, tough player, but he's not a starting safety. Sidney Brown's going to be coming back from a major knee surgery. Slay and Bradbury are most likely both going to be gone. You have to figure out linebackers. You have Brandon Graham, who's going to be gone. You're going to have Fletcher Cox, who's going to be gone. You're most likely going to have Jason Kelsey, who's going to be gone. And there's a lot of question marks. It's a lot of leadership, too. And who's going to step up? It's going to be interesting. And Howie's going to have to bring in a lot of pieces because they don't have the depth, like I mentioned. And they don't have a good high draft pick either. And Jalen Carter, I'll argue you don't know what you got now. The guy is spent. I mean, he cannot get to the quarterback. So,
So,
that's
what I'm saying. Next year really could be a referendum on Howie. I mean, he's been there. He's been GM for how long, Sal?
Oh,
it's been
at least 16, 18 years. Yeah.
Gotta be almost 2 decades, seriously.
Yeah, when you look at what the Chargers went through, like Kyle was saying, they had 2 playoff appearances in 10 years. And I know the Eagles have been a little bit better than that, but, it's still starting to get a little long in the teeth that you're like, well, as good as the job he's done at times, you may want to get a fresh, perspective of things. And if it don't work out next year, you may have to change up.
Yeah, and in defense of Jalen Carter, I looked at where a lot of the offensive line are actually double teaming the pass rush guys. So the A gaps are being like filled by being doubling, because the way the 4-3 works, they just double team up on Jalen. They double team up on Fletcher Cox and stuff. And then what happens is it leaves these big gaps and holes. That's why they can come and run right in. They can just run right in. They look, the back can cut over and run right in. And Jalen's like gone. And then Jordan Davis is like stuck right there in the middle. And he don't, right. So I don't know if it's much as the both like equally the players, but I guess what I'm trying to say is it's the play calling too. And the way they set up.
I think also, the person who's kind of had a down year is Josh Sweat, and I think that's where the impact on the other players, Hassan Reddick and Carter, I think that's where the impact's coming from. Because you can double team those guys because you can single match up Josh Sweat, and these left tackles are winning that matchup. Whereas last year Josh Sweat had a better year, so all four guys, that were on that line, with Hargrave was there too, seemed to dominate. But this year it's just, you get one weak link, and it kind of takes the whole thing down.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're dropping.
They only had one pass rush.
Yeah, and they're dropping Reddick back in the cover.
I was about to say that.
That's a bad. I don't know why they're doing that.
Like, why are you doing that?
That's like, not his. That's never been his strength.
It's Patricia, baby. Patricia.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, Brian Johnson, is he going to get hired anywhere? I mean, who's going to take him?
I don't think so, only because there's so much competition for coaches, and to some degree, being offensive coordinator did hurt him. I mean, I think maybe behind the scenes, he probably is a good quarterbacks coach, or probably a good developer of QBs, and that's what people are looking at. But there's just a lot of competition for coaching right now, and a lot of other first-turn guys I think might jump ahead of him. But there are a lot of openings, though.
Yeah, and then what do you do with DC, Dre? What do you do with defensive coordinator?
You just read my mind. I would like to have Leslie Frazier for defensive coordinator. If he'd be available, take him.
Yeah. Isn't Vrabel out there? But he'll want to be a head coach, right? I think
Vrabel want to be.
Vrabel wants to be a head coach, but
Reggie,
Lazier. I was thinking, like, what other defensive coordinators could we get to help out with the problems that we're having? And to me, he seems like a high candidate because of all his success he's done with Buffalo. And prior to that, there was like another guy I was thinking about.
I still think it's a good chance it's gonna be Brandon Staley.
I don't
think he's going to get another head coaching job, but they said that when he was the defensive coordinator for the Rams during their the run before he got hired, they said he was really good. That's kind of what got him the job to be the Chargers, because he was one of those first time head coaching genius type guys too. So I think Stanley might be the guy. Staley,
Well, Desai is out, I believe. I don't see that. I don't see him or Patricia staying. I don't see either of them staying. And Patricia's had his chance with New England, and he had some top 10 defenses in New England, but just again, is it the talent here? I think it's a combination of both. I think it's poor coaching, talent right now, and they have to get that act together. But a lot of changes for the Eagles in the offseason, nonetheless. It'll be interesting to see, like you said, Mike, how does Howie handle this? This is the first offseason. I think that he's really going to be, not that he wasn't under the microscope before, but I think it's even going to be tighter this time. And what does he do?
At least they got cap from next year. I mean, if we went over last show, they had a lot of dead cap this year, so a lot of money going to players that aren't there that should free up next year. So he's got the ability to get people and stuff. So we'll see. But look, I mean, it's not over yet. I know you guys are like, tomorrow's a foregone conclusion, and then if they win tomorrow somehow, they ain't going to go much further. But until they're out, they're not out. You gotta see it happen, because you never know.
They're toast, man.
If you want to go into it now and talk about the matchup,
let's do it. Let's start with Philly Tampa. Since we're on that one,
I'm gonna tell you right now, man, it ain't happening, Mike. Tampa's gonna win this game. The Eagles are so depleted, so in disarray. We don't have our starting wide receivers. Jalen Hurts is confused. And we know about the defense. The defense is gassed, and the secondary is just non-existent. I don't see how we're going to win this game, and does it really matter because we go the next round, we're going to get beat by probably the Cowboys. I don't know, but it's bad. Like I text you guys when I said I rewatched the Giants game, and I was really trying to follow what you can when the camera's doing, and to me, Hurts just looked confused in that first half, like that first drive. He couldn't figure out what the linebackers were doing. He couldn't figure out even what the corners were. Well, they're not corners, but they're coming up. And he's one dimensional. He just keeps looking at the one guy and is making one dimensional, which is predictable. Hardly any motion that they do. They never do any motion, which also hurts. And one thing that frustrates me the most of what Jalen's doing, he's losing yards by just running out of the pocket and just trying to make something happen, and he doesn't, and it gets worse, So, yeah, he had his finger broke, blah, 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 but, it taped it back up. But if your quarterback on the center is not together, then how are you going to win? I don't care about the rest of the pieces behind them. How are they going to win? Your quarterback don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. What I was listening to, some other podcasts and commentators and analysts and stuff that talked a lot about Jalen Hurts' game. And they said one thing the Eagles overall have struggled against, even last year they had some struggles against it too. And definitely the year before when I had the playoff game with Tampa Bay, is the blitz. And especially against heavy blitzing teams that, just blitz all the day on time. New York Giants, Wink Martindale was, blitz happy. I mean, he blitzed 80% of the time. He even did that to Brock Purdy when they played San Francisco this year. They blitzed like 90% of the time. They said Todd Bowles is another blitz happy defensive coordinator. Blitz. So that, the game plan for them is live by the blitz, die by the blitz. And so it's going to be up to Jalen to figure out how do you beat that. You usually beat it with a running game. So, I mean, it's, you got to say, Brian Johnson, are you really going to finally do it and commit to the run? You haven't done it all year, and everyone's, other than the games when they did commit to it, and Swift got 175 yards rushing, against the Vikings. But, every other game when everyone was like screaming bloody murder, please run the ball, and they would not do it. Are they going to finally do it? This is the game that they can win if they run the ball.
Yeah. And defense was out of position last week too. Like, did you see that two Eagle players collided trying to get to the receiver? I'm like, that to me is playing like they're not in where they're supposed to be, and they're not even sure where they're supposed to be. And that can come back to Pat Patricia, and whatever. Yeah. Like they're scattered over, so they're almost playing sand-like football. Like I'm out there and it's like, okay, well, where do I go? No. You're not supposed to know where you need to know where you are,
Bad angles,
that does look like
that
looks like a Matt Patricia kind of thing. Like they talked about Brandon Staley, and one of the biggest problems that a lot of Chargers people had with his defense and why they were so bad is that he had a lot of conditions in the defense. So everything was based off of rules. So it's just like, if this guy goes here, then your job is to go here. That's the rule. And guys had to memorize these rules. And so then if they got confused by the rules, then they would get out of position and get beat. And that's what it kind of looked like with the Eagles. It looks like Matt Patricia's defense is kind of like, well, your job is to do this if this guy does this, and this other guy is supposed to know it too as well. And then if you don't know the rule, or if you forget it, or if the other guy forgets it, then you're running into each other and not really playing what feels natural, And sometimes when you have these guys, the rules are too rigid, it just releases confusion. And that's what you saw with the Chargers. And I think you're seeing that with the Eagles.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the Eagles were, well, first of all, the Bucs blitzed the third most out of any team in the NFL, so they're going to get the blitz this week. But the Eagles, it's poor angles, poor tackling, and the other thing that they're going to try to do this week that they said is they simplified everything so they can play faster. So maybe it's exactly what you said, Mike. Maybe it's releasing those assignments and just saying, okay, we're going to just do a regular zone, or we're just going to do a blitz here, and just simplify it to the point so they know where they need to go and they get there faster, especially if you got people who are playing new positions. Like if Maddox has to play safety, which it looks like he is, you got guys now who aren't playing their normal position again, and they're going to have to learn not only a new system, but a new position. It makes it tough. So it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. That sounds good to me. Give Philadelphia McDonald's pictures menu. Pick number 8, pick number 7. I want the combo meal. Right. Hey, no problem. If they can follow that,
And I think to some degree that works, against certain teams. But once you get to the more advanced teams that do a lot of motion and switching and do all that to confuse you, no matter how much you simplify it, you're going to get confused. Right. So I think with Tampa that could work, but once you get to San Francisco and Dallas and stuff, it's going to be a little trickier.
And Mike, the analysts are hyping up, what's the quarterback?
Baker, maybe.
Baker, yeah, I was going to say Baker Mayfield all together, but Baker, they're hyping him up. He had a pretty good end of the season kind of thing, But
what bothers me about Tampa though is just that last game, man. I mean, Carolina, a chance to win a division because it wasn't a lock. I mean, they had to win. If they had lost and the Saints had won, I think the Saints would have won that division. So it wasn't a lock, and they struggled against Carolina. I mean, it was 9-0. I was like, okay, what's wrong with this team? That's why I'm worried with them. That's why I think there's a chance the Eagles can beat them because they're a 9-8 team. They look like a 9-8 team. Like they're not good. Baker's had some impressive plays here and there, but they're not really a good team.
The Eagles defense is a remedy. The Eagles defense is a remedy, and they do have Mike. They do have 2 pretty good wide receivers.
They do.
Mike Evans, I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, Chris Godwin. They got.
This might be Mike Evans' career season for the season high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Tampa Bay doesn't run the ball. Tampa cannot run the ball for their lives, and the Eagles, if they commit to it, actually really can run the ball. And playoff football, it's turnovers, defense, and running. And Eagles can do at least one of those things if they actually put their mind to it. So we'll have to see.
They have a healthy Goodwin, right? Tampa.
Godwin, I think Godwin.
Godwin. So.
Yeah, both guys are healthy. Baker's banged up. He's got some ribs and some things, but I think he's going to obviously play. But I think if the Eagles can hit him a couple times, it might wake him up a little bit, and we'll see how that turns out. But the Eagles haven't been able to do that. They have not had the sacks at all.
True.
So they're going to have to figure that out. And I think Reddick's going to have to have a different system to get in there and let him create some more havoc like he did last year and getting in Brock's face.
Yeah. The guy missed the assignment. He didn't do his job. The guy missed the block.
He got beat by the block. I saw that. That tight end got beat. He was like,
didn't do his job. Didn't execute. Beat. That's right.
So, and that's the
other his payback.
Yeah. And Dre, you talked earlier, the Eagles will be coming off a short week here, actually, if they win, whoever they play next, whether it's Dallas or San Fran, whoever it might be, they're going to be coming off a short week. So that's going to be the other thing. A.J. Brown, they said, might play next week. If they somehow find a way to beat the Buccaneers, he might play, but sprained knee, it kind of sounds suspicious, though. I don't know. Sprained knee doesn't, to me, it's a little general. And the guy shut off his social media. Still don't know why, but they were worried about him. They said he's dealt with depression and things before. I don't think it's that. I think he's frustrated. And I think he just also wanted to shut out the noise. And I don't blame him for that. He wanted to stay focused. I think it's a combination of both. But, we'll see, guys. It's going to be interesting. So getting back to this, let's do our picks here. Dre, before we pick them, go ahead. Did I fall back last week again on Mike? I think I did probably, right?
So our guest last week was Sierra. And Sierra, she went 2-3. She got Green Bay and Dallas.
Okay.
She got Jags, Raw, Miami, and Eagles. So with us guys, let's see. Jermaine went 3-2. Mike, you went 3-2. I went 3-2. Sal, you went 2-3.
Okay.
So this is the final.
Wow.
Mike, you missed out by 3.
All right.
3-4 picks.
Yeah, all Chargers picks.
All Chargers picks, right?
Yeah.
Sal, you're 3 as well, and look at me, I'm 3 as well. That's funny.
All Eagles picks for me.
So even though our partner in crime is under the weather, but this should help give him a little booster shot for him that he won.
Man,
Jermaine has won our picks.
Every dog has his day.
Yeah, every dog has his day. Yeah. Hopefully next season I can take the bag off my head next season. So.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right. So Philly, Tampa. Dre, it sounds like you're taking Tampa, right?
Yeah, I'm taking Tampa, man. Yeah.
All right. Mike, who you got? Sorry, Dre. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, Dre. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't say anything. No, okay. I talked about what I said.
Okay.
Man, I picked Tampa for betting purposes. Boy, I'll take Tampa. If AJ Brown was playing, I think I would give more of a chance to the Eagles, but I think I'll take Tampa Bay. But I don't know how they're going to do it. Like, I think it's going to be so ugly and so boring that people are just going to want to turn the game off. But yeah, I'll give it to Tampa.
Here I go again. Every week and any week, it's going to be tough without AJ Brown. And although my gut tells me they're going to lose, I just have a funny feeling they're going to find a weird way to pull this out. I think it's going to be a funny game. So I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think they're going to find a weird way to pull this out. I don't know how, but I don't think Kelsey wants to go out like this. I think they're going to find a way to somehow get this game. I think it's going to be super ugly, but
it's going to be like how the first 10 games of the season went, right? Where you had these games that you was like, God, they won, but that was just you didn't feel good about it, but they won. You feel like that's what's going to happen. That's the feeling I had. That's why I'm so hesitant to pick Tampa, but I'll still stick with Tampa.
And I just feel like they got to turn it around eventually. Like they've lost so many in a row now that something's got to start going the other direction. So I don't know.
God bless you, Sal.
I'm going with the Eagles. I know.
God bless you.
And this guy's going to come back to bite me right here. As Godwin runs right around them, because I would assume Slay's going to be on Evans. So,
if Tampa Bay, if Baker Mayfield stink up the joint, I mean, like Mike mentioned before, turnovers, man. And he mentioned about what happened with the Cleveland Browns and stuff, man.
I will say, Sal, if he gets burned, you do have permission to burn that shirt. Like,
social media. Man. Well, he's going to. So
you are allowed to do it. You can put the lighter fluid on it. It's okay.
Wow.
I won't feel bad.
Man, I like this shirt. And the funny part was, and you're gonna laugh. It was so windy at my house that I guess they put it on my porch. It blew off the porch and it ended up right next to the trash. I'm like, oh, it's perfect.
That's funny.
It was true. The box was so light because he gave me this
that's
box.
Funny.
It was so light. The thing blew off the porch and ended up right by my trash cans. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's hilarious. But hey, actually, guys, before we get into the other 3 games, let's do a recap. We already did the Browns Texans. We'll start with you, Mike. What's up with the Dolphins and Chiefs? What do you think about that game?
Well, I didn't see it.
That's why I asked you first. That's why you said Peacock. That's why I asked you first.
Yeah, I didn't see it. But from looking at the box score, it looks like it's more of the same thing. Defense, not being able to run the ball, and turnovers. Mahomes didn't have any turnovers. There was fumbles that I saw that Hilaire had.
Right.
But, overall, Miami, I think Tua had an interception. When I saw the running game, I think overall for the game, they had, I think, less than 50 yards rushing. Kansas City's defense, which has been pretty good most of the year, really stepped up. And, Tariq had one big play, but then after that, there wasn't much else. It was all 3 phases, of playoff football that you got to do, and Miami didn't do it.
So you weren't surprised that Kansas City beat Miami because after a really good, strong season Miami had, and Kansas City did not have a strong season.
I wasn't too surprised. I mean, I thought Kansas City had that home field advantage, and it being cold out there, I think played a little bit to their strengths. And it's Mahomes, and we've kind of seen Miami do this before. This is now 2 years in a row that they've really got a hot start and then finish kind of sluggish. We're talking Tua's MVP, blah 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 blah. Then by the end of the season, Tua's okay, but is he another Kirk Cousins kind of guy? And they got a lot of questions to answer now in the offseason. I mean, Tariq Hill talked all that trash about, Tua is the most accurate quarterback I ever played with, and this and this and that. And it's like, well, you ain't won a Super Bowl with him yet, but you won a Super Bowl with the other guy. So, what are we talking about now? But yeah, I'm not too surprised. I think Kansas City at home was going to win. Now, the moment of truth. Can Kansas City go on the road and win a playoff game?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, what about you, man? You saw the game, right? You got Peacock.
No, I don't, but I did see the highlights. Yeah, I think it comes down to where is Tua's ceiling, right? Like, is he going to end up like Hurts? Because they're both from a similar program, obviously. Is he going to end up like Hurts? I don't know if he can take him to the next level. I think Miami still has defensive issues they got addressed in the offseason. I think Tyreek Hill is a weapon. I just didn't think they had enough, which surprised me because I thought that Kansas City's offense was weak, but maybe the weather just played into their favor a little bit, and it just didn't get exploited as much. They were able to kind of run the ball a little more. They didn't have to worry about Tyreek as much with these bombs and these big plays because it was so cold out and they couldn't throw it that far, things like that. I just think I think the weather played a lot into it. I think if the game was in Miami, it might have been a little different, but I think we might have seen Tua's ceiling. I don't know that he's got much more than that.
Yeah. I have Peacock, but when I was watching, it's part of my cable. What can I do? But anyway, what I saw, and I think was it Hef or was it you, Mike? Somebody said that the play calling suspect. You said it, and I have to agree with you on that because when they got I think they were up 10-0. Were they up 10-0? Or was it 7-0? Before Miami scored their only touchdown. What I'm getting at is that they did basically we're going to Tyreek Hill to get this touchdown, right? Mm-hmm. And they had a nice motion play for him. Then the next play, it was a deep bomb down in touchdown, right? And just by looking at that particular possession or series, to me, the play calling was different. Like they marched down the field, and after that, they went back, try to go back to what their plan was to run Mozart and try to get the run going, then pass, and then that wasn't working. You know what I mean? And then a lot of these to Tyreek Hill trying to do all these screen plays, and also not to Tyreek, but also to a couple other guys, even the running back Waddle, that they kept playing these stupid side, and Kansas City just capitalized on it quickly. So it was like, play your game. Like you use Tyreek, they couldn't stop him. Use him again. Like they didn't do that after that. And that was only score they had. So yeah. And back to Tua, Tua. I saw a lot of things that Tua was actually under pressure.
Yes.
And he just didn't know how to handle that pressure, I thought.
Yeah. First thing, they had, I think, 2 starting offensive linemen out. I think Miami had really a whole lot of injuries.
Yeah, they had a list of them.
Bradley Chubb being out. Yep. So on defense, they were missing some key guys. They had a lot working. They did. Where Kansas City, I think, most part was fully healthy. And then also Kansas City got some contribution from the receivers, the guys that can't catch, but Rashee Rice, I think went over 100 yards receiving. Travis Kelce was Travis Kelce, and when you got at least 2 of those guys doing well, that offense can start to click a little bit. So, yeah, it just, I'm not surprised. I thought Miami was looking kind of suspect towards the end of the season, and Kansas City, until they're out the playoffs, you can't count them out.
Yeah, I mean, Miami averages over 30-some points a game and only scored 7 points. That 1 touchdown by the Cheetah. Wow.
Yeah.
The weather was just ridiculous. I mean, Miami's not used to playing. I mean, they said they went from, it was 90 degrees when they left Miami, and then it was minus 30. It's like 100-degree temperature difference they were coming from. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's just like, that's crazy. So yeah, it's just, one of those things, and it does affect your offense, and then the injuries, like you guys said as well. So we'll see next year for Miami if they've reached the ceiling with him. Him and Hurts might be in the same situation. Who knows? We'll find out. All right, let's go across the state, guys. We got pitch was postponed. If you saw those pictures on Twitter that I sent you guys with the field, man, that was insane. You couldn't even see. So that's going to be played tomorrow at 4:30 in Buffalo. Pittsburgh limps into the playoffs. Buffalo kind of team has got some momentum going here. Pittsburgh's interesting. You can never count out, like Mike said, your boy down there, Mike. You can never count him out. So we'll start with Mike on this one. How about what do you think? Is Pittsburgh going to be able to pull something here?
I think Buffalo's going to take it. I mean, Pittsburgh has a chance. And that's, if the game gets ugly, like Josh Allen does his usual, 1 or 2 turnovers, and just looks, if that team just looks discombobulated, which you've seen over the year, then they could lose. But no, I'm going to pick Buffalo. I think they're going to come out and win this one.
Nice. Right. Remember when we had our midseason awards, and I had 4 coaches up there, and Mike Tomlin was one of the coaches. Mike Tomlin can always get it. Pull it together, even though it was a rocky season, but he still was able to get this team into the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So, Buffalo, I told you all season about Buffalo, man. It's what you get. You pull down on the slot, on the lever, man. Is it going to be a turnover machine by Josh Allen? Is it going to be a non-existent run game for them? And to me, though, if they can get if Buffalo can really get Diggs involved, like Diggs been quiet the last couple of games. If they get Diggs involved, then I can see Pittsburgh not winning. But also Pittsburgh don't have Watts. See, Watts is out, right?
Watts is out.
Yeah, Watts is out. But again, that Pittsburgh is, I think, a very well coached team. And I think Pittsburgh is going to play them hard as they can. I'm torn when I'm trying to say between Buffalo and Pittsburgh. Man, it's going to be it's at Buffalo. Man, I want to say Buffalo, but I think Steelers can upset them. I'm going to take the Steelers.
Okay. Yeah, it's still, when it comes down to those 3 basic things, both teams, I think, can run the ball. I think Pittsburgh might commit more to the run. Defense, I think they're kind of about the same. And then it's just turnovers, which, I don't know, because Mason Rudolph is not really that great of a quarterback either. I think he can turn the ball over. Yeah. But Josh Allen, who's actually a better quarterback, but he's good for turnovers too. So yeah, it is. I think it's going to be closer than what people expect. I mean, right now I think the line was 10 points for Buffalo for betting purposes, but I got a feeling it's going to be a much tighter game and not what people expect.
And Pittsburgh can handle the weather. They're
So
not
worried
about be a good
that.
matchup. I think it's going to be a very good matchup.
Yeah.
Al, what do you think? What you got?
I think it comes down to what Mike just said a moment ago. I think it comes down to the quarterback, right? And if you look at the quarterbacks and who's got the advantage, it's going to be Buffalo. It's got to be. And I just think that Pittsburgh's defense is going to have trouble with a mobile quarterback like that. I just don't know that they're quite ready for that yet. So I do think Buffalo's going to – I think both defenses, you're exactly right. They're about the same. Maybe Buffalo's got a little bit of an edge, but when it comes down to it in the end, it's going to be the quarterback play, and I just think it's got to be Buffalo on that as long as Allen doesn't turn the ball over. So I do think Buffalo is going to win. I think the home field advantage is also going to help a little bit too. So, yeah, we'll go with Buffalo there.
All right.
Next one, I know Mike wants to talk about him. McGenius. He's going to Detroit. McGenius. So, Dre, it's your turn to start on this one. We got, obviously, the Rams heading into play the Lions in Detroit.
Interesting the way Mike Trinko said this can't be scripted any better. You got Matthew Stafford, who was with Detroit Lions, got left and went to the Rams, got a Super Bowl for them, and then the Rams had their pick, golf, and it looked like golf just wasn't doing it, couldn't get it done for them. So now you see golf has had rejuvenated over 30 something years for the Detroit Lions to finally host a playoff game. So, and of course, you got Dan Campbell, what he's been doing with this team. But there are holes. Like Mike has really shown me off the season that this defense is not what it really is with Detroit. You know what I mean? And I saw that, and I didn't want to admit it, but hey, the season's over. I admit it now. But Detroit, man, they really got something to ride on here. That they really, I think more than anything, motivation, because they haven't been to the playoffs since I was in high school. So and then on top of that, how sweet it is that Matthew Stafford wants to beat this team, right? He wants to show like, hey guys, this is the Rams, have towards the end of the season have gotten much better. I think this is going to be a close game. I think this is going to come down to actually a field goal.
All right.
And I really think that Detroit Lions are going to win this game by a field goal. I really do.
Have coming in like a wrecking ball, saying Miami sucks.
Yeah, Miami sucks. Yeah, we know that. But Lions for the upset. I agree. I'm taking the Lions too. I got Lions with the field goal. So
the Lions are favorite, right?
I'm sorry.
A Lions favorite? I thought they were favorite because they're at home.
Oh, I think they are. I thought they were.
Check that out. My bad. So if they're favorite, then it's not upset then. But that's what I got. I got the Lions.
All right. So we got the Lions. I'll go here while Mike's kind of regrouping there. Oh, he's back, I think. Maybe. Yeah. All right, Mike, who you got?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. It seems like when people try to call my phone and interrupt the podcast. I got the Lambs. I hate to say it.
Arch rival.
I just think that Detroit's defense is just not good enough, and that's going to come back to bite them. And I just feel like on offense, what's going to happen is someone similar to what happened with the Ravens playing Detroit, where it just, once you get Goff, upset and get pressure on him, he starts making big mistakes. And, Stafford's the same way, but I just think that, Aaron Donald, those guys that got experience, I think that's where the difference is, the experience that the Lambs have, with being in the playoffs, where Detroit hasn't really been there. I know Goff has been in the playoffs personally, but as a team, they really haven't gotten that playoff experience, to get over that hump. And I think that's where that's going to come in with McVay. He just done it before. It's kind of easy for them, It's just they've been there before. So I got the Lambs. I think they're going to show up the Lions, and that'll be it.
Yeah, I agree. You never count out McGenius, number one, and the wide receivers are too good for Detroit's defense. I don't see Detroit being able to stop either of those receivers. And I do think McGenius will come up with a game plan that'll kind of bail his defense out a little bit. And the other thing is, I just think LA is a little more physical than Detroit. I don't think Detroit's a very physical team. I think they're a little soft. So it'll be interesting to see, but I do think Detroit will lose this. I'm going to go with McGenius on this one. And who knows? Maybe McGenius will go to the 49ers. Who knows next week?
Yeah. I was nervous about that happening, but, I'm finally to the point now that I'm on board with San Francisco going all the way. You can't talk me out of it. So I don't care who they play.
I would.
I'm committed. I just until they're out of it, I just believe they're going all the way. At least to the Super Bowl. I may have no what. I don't care. They play Lamar. That's the only person I'm worried about. But they play Lamar. I'm in. I'm bought in.
Yeah, I don't see anybody kind of stopping them.
I have to agree, man.
Yeah.
One more to go.
One more to go, and you know who it is. Here we go. All right, it is time. It is Green Bay at Dallas, and it's Mike's turn to go first this time. Mike, what do you got?
I'll take Dallas. Green Bay's just got too many injuries. Key guys. Jordan Love has been playing very well. People say statistically he's probably been since like the middle of the season one of the most highest rated quarterbacks in the league. But I think it's kind of just too soon. Like it's good for them to find their guy and have it established. Like they can build on things. And Matt LaFleur is a good coach, and they got stability there. But Dallas at home, I just can't see them botching it. At least not yet. It's going to happen, but it's not yet.
Dre,
I
you on
hate
the Dak
Dallas.
train?
I hate Dallas, but I mean, honestly, you're right, Mike. I got the big question mark over the Packers.
Yeah.
And you got to give CeeDee Lamb those Dak. He's been playing well, but at the same time, man, the only way I can see them losing this game if Dak just screws up. I mean, and then if they lose, is he the next Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, the worst thing that could happen for Dallas in this game is that it's close, because that's where the time management stuff starts kicking in. Where Mike McCarthy can't when they have a lead and should be running the ball 3 times to drain the clock, he's going to pass the ball 3 times and stop the clock all 3 times. Or something stupid like that.
Something stupid like that, right?
They just gotta hope it's not close where they got to make those decisions. Other than that, Dallas should win.
I got Cowboys.
All right. Well, I'm with Hef. Like, I really want to pick Green Bay. I really do. And I would hope that they would win, but I just can't see it happening yet. I agree. I just don't think that this is the week quite yet. I do. I just think Dallas's offense is just going to be too much. Although I will say this, I mean, the running game of Dallas has not been good. We all know that, right? That's been a disappointment this year. So if Green Bay can find a way to shut down Lamb, they're probably going to be able to shut down the run. It might get a little interesting and close, but in the end, I just think Dallas pulls this out. Unfortunately, I really would love to see Green Bay win, but I don't think it's happening yet. I agree, guys. I think it's too early for Jordan Love. Maybe next year when he has some more pieces, they might take the next step, but they're going to be a good team, but not quite yet.
Yeah, and to add on to that, man, like Cowboys should have known better. Like Tony Pollard's not the cowbell. He's not. He's not the bruiser. He's always been that flashy running back. And stuff. So Cowboys should have got somebody to fill in those powerful Ezekiel Elliott type runs. Yeah. But overall, man, Dak he said, look, I'm going to play better, and he has. And CeeDee Lamb is playing well. Their tight end is pretty good too. Like Hef said, they got too much offense this week.
Yeah.
Versus the Green Bay Packers. Like I said, the only way they screw up if Dak screws up.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, and I agree with what Hef said, Love has to play the game of his career. But, I think one other thing is that almost Aaron Jones has to play a game of career. I think you got to do what, you've seen other teams do it, and that's play keep away, where you just milk the clock so much, running the ball, pounding the rock, draining the clock, and you keep Dallas's offense really off the field as much as possible. And then, you attack those light, because Dallas is light on defense. So if you can run that ball, and beat up Michael Parsons, get him from not being able to rush the pass and make him have to tackle people and push them around and stuff like that, and do that to the rest of that defense. The Packers have a chance that they can play bully ball, like really just keep Dallas off the field. Every time they get on the field, get them off as fast as possible. Don't let them get any points, and then just hold the ball. I think that's going to be the strategy that Green Bay's got to go with.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know why Dallas got rid of Zeke. You had a center and running back at one cost. I mean, come on.
I think it was money.
I know. I'm kidding.
Yeah. I think contractually they were going to have to pay Zeke a lot of money no matter what, and they couldn't restructure it. So I think that's why they had to let him go.
Well, he didn't do much. Let me tell you, he didn't.
Yeah, he had some okay games, but it's weird seeing him wearing number 15. That's just so weird.
It is, man. It is.
I would see him playing on the New England games. It was like, that's a receiver playing running back, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, that's Zeke, number 15. It's like, what?
It was weird.
Not jumping in the Salvation Army Cup, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Well, they didn't backfill Zeke is the whole crazy thing. Like,
right.
They did draft a running back, but they got a running back that's basically another Tony Pollard. They didn't. I was surprised they didn't get any kind of fullback or any kind of heavy pounding kind of back to offset that. Like you said, they just thought Tony Pollard was going to be able to carry the load, and he's not built for that.
Well, the Eagles have a heavy pounding running back, and they haven't used them all season. So, so it's just like it's crazy. But all right, well, gentlemen, this week, as always, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully, we'll get Jermaine back next week, feeling better. We'll see how it goes here with everybody kind of under the weather here. But one thing's for sure, we're going to be keeping an eye out on the wild card game this weekend, and we'll keep watching them as long as they're not on Peacock, and keeping an eye on them and seeing what's going on. So check us out, Enough Said Crew at gmail.com. Yeah. You can email us there. And of course, we're always streaming on YouTube and Twitter every morning, Sunday at 11 o'clock. So you can check us out and have fun watching the playoffs game this week, guys. Any final thoughts on any of the games this week, or something that you'd like to see happen real quick before we go?
No, but I'm actually looking forward to the Rams and Lions game and the Bills and Steelers. I think those two are most intriguing matchups this week, I think.
All right.
Yeah. I like to see Dallas lose. You know, I didn't pick them to lose. I like to see them lose only because,
of course,
the whole entire week, sports media would just go nuts. Like Stephen A. Smith, I know would just like have like 5 cigars. You know, I mean, he's piping them all this side to side. Skip Bayless would probably burn like every Cowboys jersey. He probably set his car on fire if he got a Cowboys license plate. I could just see this. It would just be like pandemonium, like just so people just would flip out. That would just be so much fun for an entire week of just seeing Dallas fans and all the commentators just piling on. They would go nuts. I would just love to see that. That's just a train wreck.
I'm proud of you, Hef. I'm proud of you, but it ain't happening. It ain't happening, Hef.
Yeah, you know, I agree, Mike. I really want to see Dallas lose so bad, but you know, maybe we'll get lucky. We'll see. But you know,
hey, had 5 cigars too.
Yeah, man. It's the truth, man.
Can you imagine the social media, all the memes?
Oh my God, man!
Come out, you know, oh my God, it would just be nuts. I would just have entertainment for 5 straight days.
And Dak's contract's up, right? So that would be a determining factor.
Yeah, Dak's contract's up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming to Philly when he stops.
Yeah. Shout out to ADU, Hef Streams Media. ADU coming back next week. It's been a while for those guys, so it'll be good to see them back on the air next week at 9 o'clock on the normal schedule. So shout out to those guys for always supporting us and being on our show. Shout out to everybody out there who listens to us week in and week out. We're getting more and more streams each week and followers. So thank you guys, everybody who supports us. And
absolutely appreciate it.
Yeah, watch the game, guys. Have fun, and we'll catch up with you next week.
All right, y'all.
All right, man.
See you guys later.